p.m. in Kambe in the Ndonga Mountain Division of the Northwest Region. It is 8 p.m. here in Douala, and we begin the primetime news with the headlines. We begin the news this evening predominantly on back to school this 2nd of September nationwide. Some administrators were on the field to ensure that resumption is effective, especially within their areas of command. This was the case in Douala 2 subdivision, where the divisional officer braved the poor weather and visited some schools. As the back-to-school fever entered the last phase this Monday morning, efforts are being made to ensure safe transportation of pupils and students on our highway. This was the case in the north, precisely in Garua, where our reporters will be telling us more on the road safety campaign in that part of the country. And equally in this newscast tonight, we'll be telling you about the courtesy visit of the Lamido of Jerem in the Adamawa region, who honored the management and staff of DBS television with a visit this afternoon on his way back from Saudi Arabia, where he carried out the pilgrimage to Mecca. Details of these stories and more up next in the news. Please do not go away. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Primetime News here on DBS. My name is Mange Venasius, and we begin the news with back to school. As we said, the 2019-2020 school year began this Monday, 2nd of September, in the Littoral region, where a report tells us that effective classes resumed in all schools across the region. Our reporters will be taking us to some schools in Douala 3 municipality, and Rael Ule Abia had this for the news.
Placed under the theme Social Cohesion, the 2019-2020 school year is effective in the Douala 3 subdivision. At GBHS Bobongo, the day started with a meeting between the principal and the teachers. It was with the objective to identify the roles and how to manage the school year. Chumi Jakfang, principal of GBHS Bobongo, told us that the start was hitch-free thanks to enough preparations. Classes are ongoing with focus on the newly recruits, like the Form 1 students who need to be oriented and settled in their new environment. The principal added that there has been some renovations at the level of evaluation, with everything being documented. At GBHS Brazzaville, the story was the same.
We have been here since 6:30 to welcome the students. And the students, in spite of the rain, were all here. And as you can see for yourself, they are all in classes. The teachers are there, and the administrators are also very, very present. So since morning, we're having classes with the students.
And like every start of the year, the teachers and students are expected to respect instructions.
All the students to be disciplined, because without discipline there can be no success. And then for the teachers, ask them to be assiduous. They will be there whenever they have classes.
To ease their work, didactic material have been made available to both students and teachers. While their students are already attending classes, the administration says room has been made for every student to study peacefully, with focus mostly on the internally displaced persons, whom we all know have been out of school for some time.
From the Douala 3 subdivision, we come over to the Douala 2 subdivision, where the divisional officer, Dr. Didier Bidja, carried out a contact tour to have a first-hand information on school resumption in his area of command. Assisted by forces of law and order, he encouraged students and pupils to watch out and conduct themselves appropriately so as to succeed throughout the academic year. We have details in this report. Like in other parts of the country, the 2019-2020 academic year began in the Douala 2 subdivision with students and pupils resuming studies as usual. The divisional officer, Dr. Didier Bidja, was not left out in the resumption euphoria. Accompanied by forces of law and order within his area of command, he carried out an inspection tour in 16 schools, both basic and secondary, in the public, confessional and lay private sectors. At the end of the exercise, he gave out his impressions.
Je me rends compte que la rentrée est effective.
I realized that school
resumption is effective in some schools. The classes are practically full, while in others they are still coming. Especially in private schools, parents are certainly coming and given the economic situation. So in my subdivision, resumption was effective.
He encouraged the students to adopt positive behavior throughout the academic year, for that will be a sure step towards their success.
They have to be disciplined, avoid to be implicated in all deviant acts and other issues that can compromise their future. To teachers, they should know that parents have confided their children to them, and they are waiting to see these children receive appropriate education.
The administrator did not fail to remind latecomers that the academic year has already begun. As such, they would have missed out a lot. Even the rainy weather could not prevent the administrator and his delegation from carrying out this assignment. We remain in the Douala 2 subdivision, still talking back to school. And the following paper takes a look at some of the challenges being faced by these pupils and students as they resumed for the 2019-2020 school year. Challenges which are said to have been provoked by the recent rehabilitation works of secondary roads along the Douala 2 subdivision in some neighborhoods. We have details in this report. Being at home for 3 months, they would have certainly missed their mates and academic ambience. Visibly anxious to receive lectures, these pupils are back for the 2019-2020 school year that began this September 2nd, 2019. In this Islamic primary school, just like other institutions, registration is still ongoing, and the proprietor says a majority are yet to register. They are confounded by a major handicap, which is a hindrance for these people to savour the pleasure of back to school. Their school compound is flooded, and the authorities blame this on the rehabilitation works carried out in their locality by the Douala 2 Council.
Like you see, the compound is flooded. This began when the council constructed what is there on the road. Since then, we have a problem of flood in this quarter, a situation we never had before.
He indicated having contacted the mayor on the possible consequences of the rehabilitation works on the surrounding population.
I spoke to the mayor when contractors were there, and I told them that it was not properly done. I did not know that was already the end of the work.
A situation that is preoccupying to everyone.
It is a problem to everyone. I do not know what to do again. What I can only do now is to fill the compound. But for how long will I do that?
With this, he would wish the municipal authority to come to their assistance.
It will be necessary that the mayor take a second look on the project again. I am sure that the engineer did not carry out the impact of the project on the population.
While looking forward for urgent measures, the academic year is already on course. We continue with back to school stories, and this time we take you to Edea in the Sanaga Maritime Division, and report tells us that classes resumed the 2nd of September 2019 hitch-free. Rail Ule Abia completes that story.
Schools resumed today all over the national territory, with thousands of students and pupils answering to the jingle of the school bell. They are expected to start another school journey. In the Sanaga Maritime Division, the administrative authority, headed by the senior divisional officer, took charge to ensure a hitch-free start. Visiting a few schools, both public and private, the school year was launched. To some head teachers, the train is on the move, thus no delay for any student or pupil. For evidence, the teachers were present and in class dishing out lessons, thus the expectations this first day were met. To some, it may have been timid, but with the hope that things will change in the next few days. While the teachers were glad to have their students and pupils back, the pupils and students were able to return their first lesson for today, that of moral and ethics, the rights of one another.
We leave the littoral region, still talking about back to school, and this time we go over to the northwest region, precisely in Kambe, the Ndonga Mantum division, where students and pupils woke up to the clarion call for back to school today and trooped to their different educational establishments. The senior divisional officer for Ndonga Mantum, Nkwenti Simon Do, visited some of the schools to encourage the students. Philip Sote has that story.
Government Bilingual High School and Government School Kambe this morning, September 2nd. The senior divisional officer for Ndonga Mantum, Nkwenti Simon Do, swallowed up among students and pupils. The children are anxious to start learning.
Ndonga Mantum in all its ramifications have embraced the back to school. Since morning we have been moving from one institution to the other.
According to the senior divisional officer, it is a successful first day, and this hopefully shall continue to the end of the school year.
The academic year has just begun well here, with both our pupils and students and those who have left from trouble areas to study with us, given that Ndonga Mantum is a very hospitable division, where some of the children came even from homes, were accommodated in homes that do not have family members.
Hospitality that is being extended to every parent who wants their children to benefit from it.
And we hope that that massive turnout would be respected, Philip, right up to the end of the academic year. We leave the northwest region and we take the neighboring region, the west region, where the main message for those back to school was social cohesion, where report tells us that there has been massive turnout of students and pupils in that part of the country. Vanessa Shuyong tells us that principals called for discipline and hard work so as to bring the academic year successfully to the end. Details of that story with Vanessa Shuyong.
The 2019-2020 academic year, like in other parts of Cameroon, have also begun in the town of Bafoussam. Parents and guardians on this first day of school resumption accompany most of their children to school, like it is the case of the Government Bilingual High School Bafoussam. 7:30 met the students at the General Assembly with the principal and his close collaborators who on the first day highlighted the rules and regulations that governs the school.
Nous leur avons dit que l'année 2019-2020 a commencé.
We have told them that the 2019-2020 school year has started today. Probatoire, baccalaureate, GCE exams all will take into consideration what is being taught on the first day. For this reason, they need to be respectful, punctual, and hard-working.
Minutes later, the students gained their various classes, giving room for teachers to begin their lessons. The regional delegate for secondary education, who visited Form 1 and 2, noticed the number of students per class had increased, given that they are from the crisis region, like the northwest and the southwest regions. She, however, confirmed the effectiveness of classes that has started.
Reopening are effective. You are seeing our teacher has started to teach this morning, and we are very happy. We were in the class and we have seen that all the things are ready.
In the Government Technical School of Baningo, Bafoussam, the climate is similar, with students who came out grandiose to resume the school year. The principal says classes have started without major difficulties.
We are effectively the GTHS Bafoussam, Government Technical High School, and today, the 2nd of the month of September, we are effectively resuming for the 2019 and 2020 academic year. The teaching activities are effective as from 7:30 today. We have carry out the activity related to General Assembly, and we have scrutinized and modified our timetables to take into consideration those who have been transferred and those who are coming.
In the town of Bafoussam, schools have effectively resumed, with principals calling on students to create an enabling environment for studies by being respectful, disciplined, and punctual.
Adamawa region, where students and pupils have been advised to be hardworking and disciplined in order to succeed at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. Thus, encouraging words came from the governor of the Adamawa region as he carried out his inspection tour to some schools in Ngaoundere this 2nd of September to ensure a smooth start of the school year. Wamba Tansimerabe completes that story.
The massive turnout of both students and pupils in government, private and some mission schools in the Adamawa region this September 2nd was indicative of the fact that they are ready to study.
The students are present, the teachers are present also, and the staff, the administrative staff is present. So there is no any problem which can disturb our the start of the school year in Adamawa region.
Since the success of every child is the responsibility of both the parents, teachers and the government, Governor Kidadi Buka of the Adamawa region was out in Ngaoundere today to ensure that schools take off effectively. As an administrator and parent at the same time, he had a class-to-class discussion with these students and gave a clarion call for them to be disciplined, hardworking, and their take-home at the end of the year should be excellent results.
We have met some students and we have dished out some advice that they should be very disciplined, they should be very respectful and hardworking, because at the end of the day they will take their exams, and they have to be very conscious of that the success.
Notwithstanding, IDPs from the Northwest, the Southwest regions and elsewhere constituted about 149, a number with most of them having incomplete files. Yet, these schools administrators say their problem was carefully handled so that they should resume classes simultaneously with the others. The interaction of the teachers vis-à-vis their students and pupils was a good sign that the teaching and learning process will be stress-free. The boss of the region gave a satisfactory note of 90% attendance in all the schools he visited. Since a journey of 1,000 miles begin with a step, the clock has started ticking.
The clock has started ticking from Ngaoundere. We take the clock over to the South region, precisely in Kribi, where report tells us that the 2019-2020 school year kicked off in an atmosphere of calm and serenity, especially in the town of Kribi, where the divisional officer for Kribi 1 subdivision visited several institutions to check on the effectiveness of the school reopening while laying emphasis on the internally displaced persons, as Tim Minute tells us in this report.
The streets of Kribi was jam-packed with students from different establishments announcing the official opening of the 2019-2020 academic year. In the government high school Ndombe, some latecomers were spotted out on the first day of the school reopening. At about 7:30 a.m., most students were seated in the classrooms ready for lectures. However, not all the students were opportune to be present in school this September 2nd. Parents from the crisis region living in the town of Kribi briefed all challenges to get their children registered in one of these schools.
So I'm here to find out for an admission to my child who is going to school here in Kribi. So I'm living here. I have a brother who gave me a room with my family. We are 5 of us.
The first bus stop of the deal of Kribi and his entourage was at the government bilingual school, Kribi, where he laid emphasis on the internally displaced persons in the town of Kribi. At the level of the primary schools, the number that turned out was enormous, with teachers present to deliver their first lessons of the year. While at the nursery section, the presence of the newcomer was also witnessed, and their teachers are hoping for more kids in the days ahead.
From the South region, we round up our back to school page. In the center region, where the 2019-2020 academic year in that part of the country witnessed an impressive start as serious studies began in most of the schools that our reporter Afese Apong visited in Yaoundé, especially at the Kolbisong neighborhood. His report.
There was virtually no time to waste as teachers began giving lessons to pupils and students in most of the schools we visited in Kolbisong in the Yaoundé 7 subdivision. At Government English Primary School in Kolbisong, most of the pupils were excited teaming up with their mates again after 3 months of holidays. Our tour took us through Government Secondary School in Kolbisong where students were undergoing their first lessons for the day. The school principal Ngono Christophe Kizito attests everything is going on smoothly.
I say that I'm happy because my school is clean. Everybody is make well. That's good.
The situation was not different at Government Technical School in Kolbisong. The major innovation in the school this year is the creation of a bilingual section. We will have the advantage because French students will be able to speak English, while English-speaking students will also interact in French. So this generation of students will be perfectly bilingual. And in technical education, we need all the 2 languages to better develop our technology. As lessons went on, many parents were spotted around the various school campuses in a last-minute attempt to register their children. The one of the 2019-2020 academic year in Kolbisong was also marked by a tour of the various schools by the subdivisional officer for Yaoundé 7, Owona Damian, to ensure that everything is in place for a hitch-free 2019-2020 school year.
And away from back to school, this time we go over to the North region, precisely in Garoua, where the 2019 edition of a road safety campaign has been launched for the Adamawa and North regions of Cameroon. The campaign will allow the National Gendarmerie personnel to check security measures of vehicles and drivers within a period of 1 week in order to secure the roads in this period of back to school. Cynthia Nguemo has details of that story.
The much-anticipated 2019-2020 school year has finally come to reality amidst the long list of preparatory efforts that have been made by students, parents and the government to ensure a smooth start and continuation is assuring security of road users, many of whom will hence be students. This has been one of the main priorities of the government of Cameroon in the North and Adamawa regions, where the National Gendarmerie has embarked on a road safety campaign to make sure that vehicles and drivers implement all necessary security measures for themselves, their passengers and pedestrians.
We noticed that the traffic increased in our road. That's the reason why this measure have been put in place to ensure the security of all the road users, of which most are students coming from holidays.
The road safety campaign taking place between Garoua and Gaoundéré enables the gendarme personnel to cross-check several security components of drivers and their vehicles, ranging from their ownership of official documents and first aid boxes, as well as the state of tires, speeding and overloading, amongst others.
An important accent is put on the repression of bad attitude on roads, such as speeding, overload, bad driving. We also check the general condition of the vehicle.
Evaluating these components, it is obvious that a certain number of road rules are constantly being broken by drivers, beginning with overspeeding.
We notice that speed is the most common offenses that we notice during this operation.
However, serious sanctions await such defrauders.
Speeding is offenses which call from a fines of 25,000 francs. And the objective is at the end to reduce the number of accidents in our road.
The road safety campaign comes as a means of sensitization and awareness building in a time when roads are increasingly crowded, mostly by school-going Cameroonians.
We remain in the north, and this time we talk about religion. The last but one delegation of Cameroon pilgrims landed at the Garoua International Airport over the weekend. They were received upon arrival by family members and friends, as Jalo Buba tells us in this report.
The Garoua International Airport has continued to receive the returns of the 2019 Cameroonian pilgrims to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. Some 654 Muslim faithfuls from the Grand North traveled through the Garoua International Airport to perform Hajj, the fifth pillar of Islam, reserved for those who are physically and financially able. According to this group leader or guide, says all went well, but for one death recorded in Medina amongst his groups of pilgrims. A part of fulfilling their religious obligations, while in Mecca, under the leadership of Cameroon's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, prayed for peace in Cameroon, especially in the far north region, experiencing attacks from Boko Haram, as well as Amazonian separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. They, from a spiritual point of view, called on all Cameroonians to bury their differences and give peace a chance, for nothing useful can take place in the country plagued with crisis and violence. They were received upon arrival by friends and family members.
We hope that their prayers for peace are received by Allah, for peace and stability in Cameroon. And talking about prayers, today the DBS management and personnel had the privilege of receiving the Lamido of Tibati in Jerem division of the Adamawa region. He visited the management and staff of DBS television today on his way back home from Saudi Arabia, as he carried out one of the pillars of Islam. Jalo Buba tells us that he prayed for peace and security, peace and serenity in DBS. We have details in his report.
The premise of the Dal Broadcasting System, DBS TV, has been honored by the Lamido of Tibati, His Majesty Hamidou Bello. He was received upon arrival by the staff of DBS, who were anxiously waiting. He, in all majesty, shook hands with his host irrespective of sex. He used the opportunity and visited some services to have first-hand appraisal, starting with the editing room, reception hall, amongst others. The visit was then followed with a brief session during which he was formally welcomed by the General Coordinator of DBS TV on behalf of the founder of the station, Alhaji Baba Amadou Danpulo. In response, the Lamido started by thanking the Almighty Allah who has enabled him, performed a very successful Hajj, and he redefines the position of Hajj in Islam. He went ahead to appreciate Alhaji Amadou Baba Danpulo for all he is doing to satisfy Cameroonians of all walks of life, but nonetheless expressed his worries seeing that Danpulo's businesses are today threatened. The Director of Communication for Nextel, Musa Husseini, thanked the Lamido for the visit, and Alhaji Danjuma, Littoral Regional Coordinator for Sodelco, added his voice in thanking the Lamido for all his support. A symbolic gift was then handed to the august guest by the pioneer DBS General Manager, Nyo Moses. The Lamido then prayed for all, and snapshots ended the visit, which has now gone into DBS archives as the first Lamido to pay a visit to the station on his way home from Hajj.
At 28 minutes past 8 p.m. this 2nd of September 2019, this is here we draw the curtain for this edition of the Primetime News. The next edition of the news will be coming up at 9 p.m. in the French language with Luc Serge Didier Nang. As for me, we'll be back again tomorrow at exactly 8 p.m. for another edition of the news. Keep watching programs here on DBS television. Until tomorrow, have a blessed evening. Good night.